Dzień dobry.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Przepraszam bardzo, bo sytuacja jest awaryjna.
give me a second.
Tylko na sekundę,
I just
żeby Menti zajrzeć,
went online to Menti.
że tu jest Pupitar. Kojarzą Państwo takiego Pokemona?
And actually, I think that we have a Pupitar here, a Pokemon. If you catch it, actually,
Ucieka z tej.
well, you can do a lot with it. So just give me a second.
Grają Państwo w Pokemony?
Do you play?
No ja też nie grałem.
Do you play Pokemon? Well, I used not to play, but my son plays, and he doesn't want to talk about anything else. On and on. So in order to talk with him, I had to upskill myself. I installed an app, and actually that is engaging. So actually, you go online or you open an app for a second, and you can't stop. This is not me. My name is Marcin Napiórkowski, and I am honored to be here today.
Po raz drugi, 4 lata temu,
This is the second time that I've been here. 4 years ago I was here, and I told you that you shouldn't be scared,
są w internecie takie
that there are many threats, for instance Momo or other characters that you can see online are the symptoms of
w związku z czym
a certain panic of parents
go i wyolbrzymiania
who demonize what is being done online.
no, ale
So, I don't want to sound chaotic, but I wanted to talk about something completely different today, that there are some tangible and actual threats online that shouldn't be disregarded. And what is more, those threats are directly related not only to abuse, to somebody having malicious intentions to hurt children,
używane będzie
or by wrong use of the software. I wanted to talk about something different today, about the threats related to the software used by our children, how well it is designed. So we're not going to talk about the disadvantages or loopholes, but about those very strong sides of the software, which actually make it hard for you to exit the virtual world. It is really tempting for many teachers, parents, educators, or counselors to respond to how involving those mobile technologies are. They are tempted to limit the use, maybe even to forbid the use of mobile technologies. There is a number of research that shows that this strategy is ineffective. It just turns those technologies into a forbidden fruit and increases the temptation rather than reducing it. So if you want to get your children off the Pokemon Go, off the Minecraft, or off something else that will come next year that's hard to predict, if you want them to benefit from that, if you want to teach your children how to make good decisions, how to use the new technologies in a responsible way, you have to go there together with them. You don't have to necessarily catch Pokémons yourself, even though it's really cool, but I would like you to be together with your children and to become informed users of the software yourself. So I feel a bit strange talking about that, because this is a colleague from my tribe. I'm a semiotician. Usually we deal with very good things such as communication, science, facilitating communication and negotiation, how to help people make the world better with the stories they tell. This is really my passion. But sometimes it happens that our inventions are used with some malicious intentions. And one of the examples is what happened with persuasive technology with BJ Fogg. Maybe you have heard of Mr. Fogg traveling 80 days around the world, but this name is not really known to the public, but he is the founding father of every application you are using today. BJ Fogg has been dealing with semiotics, and he was interested in how much we know about interpersonal communication, but people tend to communicate with machines more and more often. So how to design a good interface for the machine, for applications, for software that will have some human touch, that will make you willing to interact with the machine. So I'm pretty sure BJ Fogg has really good intentions, but when I was reading his books, when I was reading what he's proud of from his classes at Stanford, when I'm reading how his ideas evolved, I have this strange feeling that semiotics, the field that I love, may also create the real evil, and I mean true, pure evil. Based on Fogg's books, I have prepared some concise list for you, 7 simple elements that you may use in designing an interface in order to make it more involving. So this is the bad and scary part here, because as you will see, some of the tools are very easily used in a really unethical way. But I'm usually a cheerful person who doesn't like to worry too much. Then we're going to go to the second and more important part of our conversation, where we will talk about being together with your child in front of the screen and using very similar communication tools to not only counteract many of those negative elements, but use playing the Pokémon or playing Minecraft to understand the mechanisms and to make your child use them to their benefit. The first thing is reduction and persuasion by simplification. When you have ever bought something by a one-click purchase, then you have used BJ Fogg's discovery. He was using some old psychological research to see if reward or punishment works better. So is it better to pull people up to the 10th floor, telling them, I have really great things waiting for you upstairs, or should you push them there, saying, I'll do something scary if it doesn't happen? So what does work better, the stick or the carrot? Nothing. Nothing works better, neither stick nor the carrot. You should just move your office downstairs. And this is what BJ Fogg says. Make your application load faster, make it smooth, problem-free, intuitive, launch and go. One-click purchase. If on the way you have to enter 50 pieces of data, take some difficult decisions, then it will change your mind. And the tunnel effect is another thing. You are young people, so probably you don't remember that, but in the past we used to install the software for minutes or hours, and the progress bar used to show you what you're going to have in this wonderful new Windows version. It used to suspend every now and then, so it was pretty frustrating. Some problems are complicating, and you have to design it as a tunnel, not as a highway. So if you cannot go back, if you cannot cancel, you can build some experience by creating a nice progress bar or showing them what's going on, and the user will stay with you all the time. The third element is personalization. If you check your mailbox, you probably are getting a number of messages from people you don't know, complete strangers, saying Marcin and then blah, 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 because our reaction is better if the message is more personal. If you use social media, then you will notice that you have clicked an image of a pressure cooker, and then you are getting 50,000 commercials of pressure cookers. I never knew what pressure cookers were before I clicked, but now I'm getting their pictures and descriptions everywhere. A hint at the right moment. This is the best piece that BJ Fogg has written. This man says quite openly in his book that his students have done this ingenious project. But this project was really sinister, because prompt at the right moment means that when you sense just the right moment, you can be much more persuasive. For example, You can display a million food advertisements, but if your user is not hungry, it just won't work. But if you knew when should you give them the prompt, then you might give them the right hint at the right moment. Ancient Greeks had a great figure to that. Kairos was the god of luck, and he had long hair in front, but he was bald at the back. So when he was in front of you, you could still grab him, but after he went by, you have missed the boat. And one of the groups was ingenious. They have designed a teddy bear who was singing songs, and he had a GPS inside him. And he was singing songs, lullabies, and when the child was around at a marked location with an M at the beginning of the name, then the teddy bear would sing French fries, delicious French fries. If it's not evil, then I don't know evil when I see one. BJ Fogg said that it's a future technology, nobody is going to use it, but we are getting this every day. Everybody has this application in our mobile phones, and they asked me for an app at a McDonald's restaurant, and I felt old for the first time in my life. If you look at me, they usually ask me for an ID in liquor stores, but now they ask me for an app at a fast food restaurant. Self-monitoring technologies, this is what you have in your smart watches that shows your heart rate, your body temperature, and BJ Fogg has shown in his research how self-monitoring is a great tool to impact people because it shows you some ratios. But also, on the other hand, we have surveillance technologies. And I think it's best to give hints at the right time, personalized, if we know what the user is doing. So the basis of a good interface is to collect user data. BJ Fogg, as early as the 1990s, has talked about those ideas, but everybody said, no, this is impossible. We would need hard disks that have terabytes of capacity, but now this is really basic. And last but not least, this is where it all comes together. You know Pavlov's dogs, right? When the bell rang, the dog started drooling. This is the principle which all those terrible games like the slot machines are based on. You know how many people are dependent on gambling in Poland? If you walk around the city and there is this strange outlet with black windows, this is a game parlor with slot machines. They're everywhere. But I know it only from the research perspective, of course. In the same way, all those surprise toys are designed, because BJ Fogg's research has shown that randomized enhancement works best. If we know what the reward is, it doesn't work that strong. But if you can win a super legendary Pokemon or those super dings, this is the best enforcement. And BJ Fogg has shown greatly how to work with fonts, colors, sounds, things going bing, and randomized enforcement, how you can create perfect machines forming dependencies, because he believed that technologies should be more humane, so he tried to create machines that are cool. And we can see the effects nowadays everywhere we go. We can see the effect in the context of children, because as it turns out, the youngest users are the most prone to those stimuli, because they are learning how to use them. They have no defensive mechanisms yet, and also they have not formed those reflexes like saving. Do you know that we feel pleasure from saving as adults? Maybe not everybody does, but if there is something worth 100 zloty and you can actually get it for 95 zloty, you will feel this positive enforcement. So how does our minds counter the system? If somebody told you, would you like to go across the town to save 5 zloty, you would say, no, come on. But if somebody told you, you can get it 5 zloty cheaper if you drive across the town. Some of you might do it. So this is tempting. Research shows it. We like saving, but children don't have those defensive mechanisms yet. They're learning the world using the interfaces, among other things. So one of the answers is, until 18, you cannot even pronounce the word mobile phone. But Pokémons will come to your home as a picture, for example, that you can paint yourself. I couldn't because I can't paint. But there is another solution that we can use. This is a result of an MIT research project in participatory parenting. And it was a pivoting point for me as a parent, not as a researcher, because I asked my question. I know it all. I've read B.J. Fogg back to back. So can I use my knowledge somehow to go into this edgy Minecraft land with my child and avoid getting scammed? Because the edgy land of Minecraft is not just edgy and square, but it's also a world that uses some stimuli that wants to make us react in a certain way. So let's try to see step by step. And I don't have all the answers. I will say it up front. Sometimes I can just tell you, watch out, this is dangerous. So how can we counter those 7 elements using some communication tools to promote some positive and safe use? Of course, there is always this solution of participatory parenting. We can say that restrictions and limitations without justification will not build competence. This is just stressful because the children will thrive for this forbidden fruit. So how can we make it a joint experience rather than saying don't do this, don't do that, but how to get to this meta level to discussing what's going on? And there is the red flashing light, and when it goes bing.
To szaber jest chyba po polsku, nie? Te skrzynie z bonusami otwiera, to w nich zawsze jest coś innego i się
And also, why actually you can win something on a lottery online. So discussion is, ladies and gentlemen, the key element of what we should be doing. So let's go step by step. Reduction should actually be replaced by the effect of complexity. We should explain the effect of complexity. Every time that when the system wants to advise us that there is only one click that is needed and we can, for instance, get a new armor, we should make our child aware that nothing is for free. And actually, by installing a game, apart from different actually data, like how old are you, etc., like age, they ask for the number of the credit card of your daddy. Apart from bonuses, and apart from the added value of what we can understand together with children, is building the complexity. I wouldn't like to delve into the details here, but basically I would just like to say that there are results of the studies that tell us about the illusion of explanatory depth. We think that everything is simple, and by believing that the world is simple, we become prone to manipulation. And the more we believe that the world is simple, the more prone we become to manipulation. And actually, we have to explain to children that this is a very complicated and complex algorithm that actually analyzes what manipulates you best. We can make the child aware from empirical perspective, find a certain benefit by asking himself or herself a question: why actually am I being sold this and that? Next, let's go to the tunnel effect. This is very important. We want to provide our child with a good flow, with a good experience, but we need to deal with the tunnel effect. So actually, the thing is that when you play, 1 hour is not enough. Actually, the child plays, he or she starts and then ends. We need to actually break playing into different modules. We need to engage into the safe exit system. So actually, we need to tell the child there are different modules, there are different intervals, and actually 1 hour of playing is not an in-depth black hole where you go and you start and you have to end, is a very valuable tool. So next, being lonely online. Actually, games, for instance, are a tool for building networks and building bonds. So actually, you can bond with someone who is on the other side of the world. So actually, it is not my role and responsibility to delve into the details whether there are real friendships or not. But actually, being online gives you an opportunity to find people sharing your hobbies. I don't think it's bad, and I actually don't think that children engaging in common play in Minecraft is worse than children playing, for instance, in the playground. Well, of course, you don't want your kids to become some nerds, not even seeing the sunlight, but apart from that, it's not bad. But actually, the online environment encourages people not to engage online. Actually, you engage in interactions, you play on your own, etc., etc. So actually, you can use these tools to teach your children how to engage in the interactions with other people. So I started to play Minecraft as well. I had to stay awake for a couple of nights, but it played actually very well. So actually, I became interested in geology. I also started building, and now with my son, I'm using this new language of Minecraft where we can actually exchange different experiences. So I can see that telling my kid, stop being alone, actually call your friend, you can catch Pokémons together with your friends in the street, I will be supervising so that you're not run over by a car. And actually it turns out that being online is a great interactive tool, and I become a friend with my son's parents. So you have to plan as well. Planning, according to an old good school, is that you have to plan ahead, because, for instance, if you put a phone somewhere, the phone goes instantly bing, 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 and the child wants to, for instance, catch a Pokemon or wants to see something on the screen. So actually, you have to be aware of what you have, what tools you have, what organization of the day you want to apply, and you have to talk to your kid that, for instance, if he or she catches Pokemon, he won't be able to, for instance, invite a friend over. So, in fact, imagine a situation where your kid, for instance, sees a teddy bear online, and the teddy bear sings French fries, and the kid actually sees the teddy bear, and instantly you explain to the kid that this is crazy. Singing bear is actually crazy. You have to explain things like that to the child. Now, speaking about the screen, the mobile screen, for instance, you can actually see how much you play. And actually, you can program and see the algorithm. Actually, Adash, my son, is very proud of himself when he can actually check how much he played. And actually, well, he would see, well, I designed in Scratch for this and this amount of time, and for the rest of time, I did something really stupid. So actually, the goal is to keep him proud of himself. Our children having a smartwatch, for instance, is a great idea, because we want the child to be safe and secure. But actually, we have to ask ourselves a question, meaning teachers, parents, etc., what we want to teach our children. Where actually we don't want a system where actually you and all children have smartphones, and if mommy or daddy is actually scared, you click, you take a picture, etc., etc. What does it teach? Well, I am not afraid of what my kid is exposed to, but what does it teach to the kid? Now, we may think that we are not Pavlov dogs, that we are not prone to being manipulated online. No, ladies and gentlemen, we are all prone to being manipulated because these mechanisms are very deeply coded and go into the depth of our thinking. So what we can tell our kid is, okay, I am prone to risks, you are prone to risks, we can be manipulated by machines. What can we do in order not to fall into those digital dependencies? The situation is quite complex and difficult. You know this because children don't actually mirror our speaking, what we say. They mirror our actions. So actually, if we are talking about how important it is to put your phone away, to put your laptop away, to have time for your family, but if I check my mail every breakfast, now this is a whole another situation. If I finish writing and it's really important for me and I just have to finish it, my children see that, and actually if they see me drooling every time my phone rings as a Pavlov dog, this is a situation we don't want to have because they won't be mirroring our words, they will be mirroring our actions. Well, I can see that the prompter is really going to go crazy because my time's almost up, but I'm not disappearing from this room, from this conference. So if you have a very private and intimate question, be my guest, and if you want to ask a question now, be my guest as well. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for a lovely presentation.
Ja jestem pod wrażeniem, bo to rzeczywiście w taki systematyczny sposób było poruszonych
Well, I'm really impressed.
zagrożeń.
Lots of risks at once. Well, yes, that's what we do. Yes, we heard about a whole system of solutions that we could continue to focusing on. We will have a discussion, and ladies and gentlemen, we really would like you to ask questions. And now a quick question from me. Thank you so much, first of all, for a parenting perspective. Now, Minecraft and Pokémons are quite fun. They are quite kind. Now, what about things that cannot be accepted by us parents? Now, this is a very difficult question, and I think that children cannot be engaged in something that is unacceptable. But we should first focus on the boundaries of our acceptance, and we should also try to understand why our child engages in something brutal or unaccepted. Now, I've heard about different situations like that. I sometimes work with students, and I also have children. Now, talking to children, look, I'm really worried about this and that game or that YouTuber. Now, my child or a child talking about a YouTube user or a YouTuber, a vlogger, started talking about why he or she likes this very person. At some point, the child actually thought that what he or she sees is disgusting. So actually, they can come to a conclusion themselves. Yes, sometimes it's about 5 minutes of discussion. Quick question. Another one. Sent online. What about school? What can school do?
Szkoła ma niesamowicie trudne zadanie.
The school has a very difficult task,
Znacznie więcej niż rodzice.
but the school can do a lot more than parents can.
Nie mają
It's very sad
systematycznie
for me to say it, but parents do not have systematic resources.
dzieciaki w bandzie.
And also, school deals with communities of kids.
Rodziców. Dosłownie tydzień temu byłem jako
A week ago,
wycieczki szkolnej.
I went to a school trip as a supervisor with third graders.
Cały czas rozmawiali o tych Pokémonach.
They constantly talked about Pokémons.
Czyni przysympatyczna.
The teacher
Była z tych rozmów wykluczona, w związku z czym
was excluded from these talks, so actually
ci chłopcy
she wouldn't talk to boys. Now I played and I talked to boys,
punktem wyjścia
and actually it turned out that this is a starting point for us to start a discussion.
do rozmowy o
And I think that Pokémons are a great starting point
larwitarów, które dają
to start about
dają 6.
mathematics, because actually it's difficult to start talking about how many larvitars you have to catch in order to have a certain numbers of tyrannidars. So
Albo z Minecraftem.
it's actually a good starting point, as I've said. Now, speaking about Minecraft, there are very complex calculations, and this is quite difficult for kids, because actually calculating how many cubes you want to have actually in order to find a space or actually build something is quite a task.